Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater, and it is Morning Jones Friday with my good friend Corey Erdman. Corey, you do the boxing stuff for so many people, I don't even necessarily know where to directly send them to find you at this point.
Sure. So I call fights for DAZN. I'm on Netflix a lot. Do stuff for Top Rank, and I write for Ring Magazine. Basically, anywhere you watch or read about boxing, I tend to pop up.
Yo, man, that says so much about like what the world of boxing is, because like I'd be getting to check from one of those people and try to hide the fact that I get to check from the other people. You're like, nah, man, this is what we do to eat over here in this world.
Exactly. And I always try to be, I try to be the neutral party where I can pop up and I can be a voice or the man with the written word wherever I am and be impartial. So I try to play nice with everyone. And also then you can cash everyone's checks.
All right. So for people who don't know, Corey and I worked together on a little show called The Morning Jones that we did on the Score satellite radio for the good folks in Canada. Shout out to the Kang, Sasha Cargill. Shout out Mike Hitman. Hey, man, we talked about this earlier. Shout out to the man, John Levy. I follow you on Instagram. You're fighting a good fight. I see what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Since then, Corey's gone on to do boxing for a whole lot of people. We got a lot of things for us to get to. These cats outside my window doing some sort of serious renovation, like right now. Buddy decided, I just saw it, he got a hammer in his hand. He is literally banging on something directly outside the window. Now, what a lot of people do not know about Corey is a R&B savant, like 1980s specifically R&B savant. Corey knows it all. Corey's all the way in there. And if, Corey, you had ever wondered what it would be like if Bobby Brown announced that the Don't Be Cruel Part 2 tour was going to be happening in September of 2026. Now you know how that feels, because Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao are going to fight each other in September. Now, to be honest, this might be like Don't Be Cruel Part 3, because the first fight was a little bit more like Don't Be Cruel Part 2 in the sense that we had been asking for that a lot sooner. And by the time it came around, it wasn't the same as the fight that we asked for, but correct me if I'm wrong, it was still the highest grossing fight that there has ever been, right?
Yeah, it was the most watched, in terms of pay-per-view buys and the highest grossing fight of all time. It's business-wise most successful fight that's ever happened.
Yeah, like no matter what, it had to be done, right? Like no matter how long it went or whatever. And I've always been intrigued by this idea that fight was so interesting to people, just because I personally never got the feeling that Manny Pacquiao was like a giant star, and in some ways Floyd Mayweather too, outside of the context of each other, right? Like I felt like we talked that fight up so much. You know what it felt like? It felt like Chinese democracy. The Guns N' Roses record that being waiting for 20 years.
I didn't know you were going with that. All right.
Yeah. Wait, by the way, wasn't that bad, right? It was all right, but it wasn't quite what it might have been if it came out and called it 93.
Yeah, which is kind of exactly how the fight turned out in the ring. It was probably a slower paced version of the way that it would have looked at almost any other point in history. I know there are some people that argue that there was a period of time like 2009, 2010 Manny that probably would have had the absolute best chance of beating Floyd. But I think there were a lot of people who felt that no matter when you did that fight, the styles matched up such that Floyd was going to win. Now, he might have had more trouble in winning at different periods of time than he ultimately did. But I think the betting odds suggested, and I think the prevailing opinion within the boxing community was that Floyd was going to win no matter what. At this point, there's just new variables. Like, what does a 50-year-old Floyd wind up looking like in an actual fight, not in an exhibition against a non-boxer? We kind of know what this version of Manny looks like because he damn near won a world title last year. He almost beat Mario Barrios. If he had, he would hold a world title right now, or maybe he would have fought Ryan Garcia. I don't know. But this is probably the first time where I I don't like to make predictions all that much because I might wind up calling that fight, and then that gets really weird. But if you had to ask me, this is the first time that I'm not certain. I can't conclusively, with confidence, pick Floyd because age is such an unusual factor here that we have to consider.
So you threw out something that was really fascinating, and I had seen it on the internet, and I didn't know how true this was, but you just reaffirmed it, which is Manny Pacquiao has fought recently, and in that fight that he fought recently, it was at a world championship level. That's kind of crazy because when he fought against Floyd, and I know that, he says he had the injury during that fight, he was not fighting at a world championship level at that point. It never dawned on me that 47-year-old Manny Pacquiao, especially fighting in the weight classes that he's talking about, right? Because, like, at least when George Foreman came back as an old man and was fighting there, like, he was an old man, yes, but at least he was still, like, hitting hard as hell, right? Like, you could see a world where big flabby George Foreman could win a fight just because as Michael Moore, right? All he had to do was catch you with that one and then it would go. But with the little guys, one would think that the variables that are most affected by age, which is really quickness, right? Quickness, like you would think that that would go away like that. No, man, you say this dude, the last time we saw him, he wasn't bad.
No, he, with another set of judges, could have reasonably won that fight. I thought that, the draw was fine, but he could have reasonably won that fight, and Manny Pacquiao at 47 would be a current world champion. Now, does that say something about the caliber of fighter that he was in there with that night, or the general caliber of the welterweight division presently? Probably, but it also speaks to how good these guys were and still are, that even with the erosion of time, that Manny Pacquiao could be as good as some of the best welterweights in the world right now, right? Like, to put it into context, the win that Ryan Garcia is being praised for, the best that he's ever looked at as a professional, maybe, against Mario Barrios just last weekend, that was damn near the same win that Manny Pacquiao would have had, right? So that, like, does add a little bit of intrigue to this fight, is that yes, this is a very old version of these two that are going to get in the ring, but they might still be as good as the guys that are out there. So it might not actually be that bad of a fight, Bo.
Yo, that's the thing. I had assumed that this was going to be a clown show, right? Like if you're doing this, because we've seen so many clown shows, and to be fair, Floyd himself has chosen to engage in clown shows, which we can maybe talk later about what we'll term the necessity of fighting, perhaps. But I had always taken Floyd, though, say what we want about him, he does take boxing very, very seriously. And the idea that he would come out there, like, playing around with Conor McGregor was one thing, but like John Gotti III and things like that. Like, I understand that most people will say, well, no such thing on this, but I did think that those things were a bit beneath him. This one, I had never thought about it until, like, really in the last 18 hours. Wait, this is going to be an actual fight?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and at first, because the announcements kind of came in waves. First, we get the announcement that Floyd's coming out of retirement and he's going to fight Mike Tyson in the Democratic Republic
Clown
of the Congo,
show,
right? So that's another exhibition, right? And that is
pin in that, by the way.
Yes.
Pin in that.
Let's get back to that.
Ahead.
But that is precisely like the types of fights that you just mentioned, against Logan Paul, against John Gotti III. These kind of, like, what seems to be easy checks for Floyd scooping up. But I think, and I'm sure we'll get into some of the other reasons why Floyd may be coming back, and there are perhaps some financial implications. We'll get into that in a second. But I think one thing is that Floyd probably watched Pacquiao versus Barrios and said, wait a minute, this is a real fight, and Manny almost won. Like, this could be a real thing. Maybe I could be world champion again. Because you're right, Floyd takes boxing more seriously than anything else. And even in his retirement, or pseudo-retirement, he's still taken care of himself in a way that a lot of athletes won't. Floyd has never drank, he doesn't smoke. His biggest vice is that he drinks cola. Like, Floyd will still look like Floyd Mayweather in the ring because he's composed himself, or he's comported himself that way through the years. But I think this is a real element that I think that changed things when Floyd realized that the biggest fight I could still have is still against Manny, and we could turn it into a real fight. And that turns it from, hey, okay, it's just Floyd and Manny dancing around, to, I guess we got to tune into this.
I also don't, I'm not, certain that Manny Pacquiao is capable of just dancing around, right? Like, and I'm not sure that Floyd Mayweather is capable of just dancing around if it's Manny Pacquiao on the other side, right? Like, he did not do Logan Paul like Anthony Joshua did Jake Paul, which I found to be hilarious, where he was just like, hey, wait a minute, man. I need people to understand that I'm I'm knocking this dude out, right? He put that man jaw like it was like a cartoon. That shit spun around his neck. It's almost like Jake choked to death because his jaw wrapped around and choked his whole shit out, right? Like Floyd did not do that to Logan Paul. That was on the board for whatever reason. He chose not to do that to Logan Paul. He has to fight Manny Pacquiao for real. Like there's no like imagine if Floyd comes out there against Manny Pacquiao and Manny Pacquiao chooses to treat it actually like Ivan Drago, right? Well, it was supposed to be an exhibition. Nah, baby. Manny Pacquiao, you know, Corey, you and I, we talk about this a lot. It is a part of it in this fight. Manny Pacquiao doing this for his people, su gente. On top of everything else, man, you can't get Floyd beat your black ass again, dog. Like this is something else. Like me and my people, we ain't really got no beef with the Filipinos in that way. But on the other side, hey, nah, man. No, sir. It's got to be a fight.
It's got to be for all the reasons that you just pointed out. That I don't think that they can fake it against one another. But again, the prospect that either of these two guys could, and it's not completely out of the question, win this fight and then go on to win a world title, in Floyd's case at 50 years old, it necessitates him trying in this fight. Like, number one, it is going to be a real sanctioned professional fight. This one is not an exhibition, right? So it's a fight, but even in fights, of course, there are some people, there are some circumstances where you might expect them to loaf it and kind of, play the hits a little bit, maybe try in the final round, kind of like a, when the like the oldies tennis tour, right? When you watch like Pete Sampras versus whoever, they'll try in the final set, not otherwise. Listen, do you think that Floyd or Manny could beat, I'll just throw a name out here, do you think they could beat Rolly Romero right now, for a world title? Possibly, right? That is a real possibility for either of these guys. So they have to take it seriously and they have to fight for real.
These cats just can't walk away, huh?
For a lot of reasons, Bo.
Right. Well, okay.
For a lot of reasons.
All right. So let's chalk up, because we're going to see another interesting test of this is going to be Terrence Crawford, who Terrence Crawford is offended that you think that he'll come back, right? Like he believes that he has made a decision to walk away, and it would be a compromise of his integrity if he were to ever come back to boxing. Like if you saw that clip with him and Channing Crowder on the pivot, where Channing Crowder, like Terrence Crawford really said that it would be like a violation of his soul if he were to box again. And Channing Crowder said, for $100 million, I ain't got no soul. And Terrence Crawford said to this man's face, that's just what kind of guy you are. And I don't know if Channing Crowder took that as the insult that I received it as, right? He was just calling him he's called him empty, right?
Right.
But, everybody, Lennox Lewis is the one guy that I can think of off the top of my head that did not come back. I guess Rocky Marciano, though, didn't he die young? So I don't even know if that,
he died, yeah. And other than that, really weird kind of like VHS where him and Muhammad Ali kind of simulate a fight, yeah, he didn't come back.
Yeah, but he was just but just about everybody comes back. Now, to be fair to Floyd, I don't know what it is that Floyd does to pass the time if he is not a boxer. The only thing I know about what there is for him to do to pass the time is the same problem that everybody else has when it comes to the idea of leaving your job. And as someone who has done various fits of unemployment, you recognize very quickly the only thing in your life that does not cost money is going to work. And that's just if you have regular people habits and are into regular people things. Floyd Mayweather, what is he doing with himself? Is he sitting around reading, right? Do you think he's working on his memoirs? What is, you think he's hiking, right? Like, you think he's out here meditating? I don't know what he's doing, but it seemed like he would be the guy that wouldn't come back if for no other reason than that 50-0 thing really means something.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple things going on with Floyd. I think all of that is true. Floyd has an incredibly expensive lifestyle, and when you ask what is he doing when he's not fighting, well, it's these exhibitions and then just generally business, right? Like
Right.
he talks about making investments, he talks about making money. The things that Floyd and I don't think I'm doing any like extraordinary like analysis of Floyd's brain in saying that the things that he cares about most are being the greatest boxer of all time and having a lot of money. But he also knows that the best way for him to make a lot of money is to box. And the other thing that he cares about is being a record holder. And so there's two things that I think are that probably motivated Floyd, and this is just my speculation. Number one, for forever and ever, at least for the last like 15 years, he's held all the records in terms of gate proceeds, pay-per-view numbers, viewership, all that. In recent times, with Netflix coming into the boxing equation, we've seen Jake Paul and Mike Tyson do whatever it was, 109 million viewers, right? So now there's a record out there that Floyd doesn't have, but he can come back and maybe beat that record. That's one thing. There's also the record of being one of the oldest world champions. He could theoretically come back and maybe do that. But the other thing going on, Bo, and there's always the speculation when boxers come back later in their career, when they come back later in life, the instant assumption is, are they broke? Because we've seen that any number of times with athletes and oftentimes with boxers.
Just about every single one of them.
Just about every single one.
We got Lennox Lewis, and we got the rest of y'all.
Everybody else, right? Everybody, seemingly all of your faves, they've had a sad comeback that in a lot of cases was tied to money. In Floyd's case, and I'm going to be very specific here, I don't think that Floyd Mayweather is broke, right? Like if the three of us went out for dinner, Floyd's still picking up the tab. Could Floyd buy you a car or a house and not appreciably change his life? Yes. But what is going on, I don't know if you've read, but he did file a lawsuit that Al Heyman is not a party in the lawsuit, but Showtime is, where he alleges that 340 or 342 million, of his career proceeds are unaccounted for. And so even if Floyd isn't broke, if 340 million of the 1.2 billion that you think you made in your career is suddenly missing, that's 40% of the money that you thought you had or were entitled to that you don't have. And even if you're not broke, a good way to get back up to the level that you thought you were at is to come back and make an immense amount of money.
Well, there is also a real question is whether he's liquid. Because he seems to have, like I read that article that came out, he seems to have a lot of money tied up in real estate, and that the way to save himself from himself was to get money and to buy something with it. Right? Like it's a very Jay-Z on album school of financial management. Right? Go put the money in something, right? Go throw the money in something there. I will also say, and I imagine this also applies to people at the level of Floyd Mayweather, right? And, you and I knew each other way back when, right? At every point, you're going to get to that place where you said to yourself, I think what I thought would be enough. And that number just keeps changing. That number always, no matter who it is, every time somebody thought they had enough, that number keeps going up just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. And what Floyd's been at the place he's in now, right? He retired, like 10 years ago?
I mean, officially, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Andre Berto's last fight.
He stretched this out a lot longer if he did go broke, which again would be insane. But if he did, don't lie, he stretched it out longer than most people thought that he would stretch it out before he came back to do this. And I agree, it feels impossible that he would have to. It doesn't feel like he really has to. Now that Pacquiao, that's different. That's different. Because the one mistake all these cats make is they always get tied up with somebody that think you can run a game on the tax man, and you can't.
Yeah, and there have been very tragic examples of that throughout history. Sugar Ray
Joe
Robinson,
Lewis is
Joe
on
Lewis.
line one.
Joe Lewis is the most tragic example of that. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, those talks about like Pacquiao's finances have seemed to kind of cool off as the years have gone on. Does that mean that it's entirely cleared up? I don't know. I do know that he has a brand new promotional outfit. Manny Pacquiao Promotions has an event this weekend in Verona, New York. Manny Pacquiao Jr. is going to be fighting on it. So, yeah, hopefully things have stabilized financially for Manny. But yeah, I would think that over the years, Manny made a little less money than Floyd, and he had some problems that were very public. So this may be. Listen, I think that Manny was going to be very happy to cash this check, whatever size it is.
Hey man, I'm a little nervous about what that Manny Pacquiao promotion is gonna be after that Triple G fight that you invited me to. Tell people about this all the time. There was a Triple G fight at Madison Square Garden, and Corey was on the call. He got me tickets. It was real cool. I think this is what I watched with your pops.
Yeah. Triple G versus Steve Rolls, the Canadian.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Now keep in mind that one of the fighters on the card had a bullet in his back, and he couldn't do the perfunctory MRI to be cleared for the fight because there was a possibility that the bullet would roll over onto his spine and leave him paralyzed. And he said, fuck it, I guess you just go fight. But what I'll always remember about that is two things. One, shout out to the brothers that went on Amazon and got boxes of Kazakhstani flags and was outside moving them things, boy. Actually, it's three things. Two things. I don't know how many of those Kazakhstanis were in New York City, but Kazakhstan was deep at Madison Square Garden. I learned a lot about Kazakhstan, including they have 3 different looks. It's like the full-on Asian look, the full-on Russian look, and like the in-between Central Asian Genghis Khanish sort of thing that was going on. But number 3, it was very clear that the subtitle of that promotion was Kazakhstan defeats overwhelmed Afro-Americans. The last 2 fights were 2 dudes from Kazakhstan against 2 black dudes that had no business being out there with them, and they beat the shit out of them. Triple G, I did not realize how hard them dudes is really hitting until I saw Triple G take that dude out with that uppercut. But I was like, oh, so your whole plan was just come beat up on some black dudes, huh? And they were like, yep, and the crowd loved it.
And it did not matter that Steve Rolls is like from Chatham, Ontario either. It makes no difference.
No. He fit the bill, baby. He fit the bill. But I gotta say, you make me feel a little bit better about what is possible with this fight now that I think about it. Because I really had no idea that Pacquiao had this fight the other day, that he came out and looked like a real fighter.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, of course, this is going to be an ancient version of these two, but this is a situation where these guys were so far ahead of the pack that even as time has eroded them, they can still be competitive with some guys out there, right? Like, everyone's goal in boxing doesn't always have to be number 1 pound for pound. As you get a little bit older, you can pick and choose and kind of aim for different titles and different goals. And there are ones out there that could be very impressive that are very attainable for both of them.
All right, now coming up next, I want to talk about kind of, you and I both hate any boxing is dead conversation and all of this, but I do think that it's an interesting time in boxing, and there's something that has been pointed out by the Jake Paul thing 2 things I want to get to with Corey coming up next. Ever wanted to go to the NBA Finals? Well, now's your chance, courtesy of FanDuel. All you have to do is use your profit boost on an NBA future, and you'll be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. NBA futures let you lock in your pick for who you think will go all the way, whether it's a team to win the championship or a conference title. Visit FanDuel.com/Bomani to get started. Play your game with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
21 plus and present in select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kansas, Wyoming. Opt-in requirement. Awards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration, leg requirements, and max wager amount. See terms at sportsduel.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.
It's the biggest time of year for college basketball. Great moments, fierce rivalries, and incredible high-stakes action. Teams face off against each other, and along the way, there are surprises, comebacks, and upsets. It's anyone's game. Well, regardless of who makes it to the final round, one thing's for certain. It takes the most talented people to build these incredible teams. The same goes when you're hiring. If you want your business to be at the top of its game, you need the best people on your team. The place to find them is ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/Bomani. ZipRecruiter's smart matching technology immediately finds qualified candidates that check all your boxes. ZipRecruiter recommends screening questions you can easily add to get the highest quality applicants. Want to see who's recently active? ZipRecruiter's filters can show you. Score the best for your team with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/Bomani. That's ziprecruiter.com/Bomani. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. All right, we are back with Corey Erdman. I admit, watching Jake Paul have the records for the fights, it hurts, bro. It doesn't make me feel good about anything. And it's just I think for people who are really into boxing, I feel like it has to be somewhat disheartening. Like the idea that Jake Paul fighting guys could draw so much attention. But on the other hand, I do think it points out something that's important for people to remember about boxing is that in the end, there is a big boxing scene and a boxing world, and there's weight classes, and there's rankings, and there's up and down and everything else. And there's a lot of fights that even if people don't talk so much about them in the general audience that are very much so watched, people are still making money off of boxing, right? I guess there's some people still making money off of horse racing, but this is not that, right? Boxing is not dying in the ways that people often want to say. But I do feel like the phenomenon of Jake Paul boxing has kind of pointed out to people, if you didn't remember it, it's an events game, right? It is a big event sort of thing, and a big event can pop up out of anywhere. A big event can be big because of the way that it is promoted. And so Mayweather-Pacquiao still has a great opportunity to be a big thing.
Oh, yeah, and particularly the other thing is that it's going to be in the Sphere in Las Vegas, right, which has hosted UFC in the past, but this is going to be the first time that we're going to see boxing presented in there also, and that's going to be another aspect. I thought that Canelo Crawford on Netflix as a television presentation was the best that boxing has ever looked on TV, so that's going to be another drawing factor as well. But you're right, boxing is essentially... It's a television property, but it is a series of one-off events. And it's also a ticket-selling venture, right? Claressa Shields, I just called her fight on Sunday in Detroit. 18,000 people in Little Caesars Arena. Raucous event, right? It is a one-night event that the biggest boxing events are on par with or surpass all of the biggest concerts that are out there. Like Tank Davis... when he was fighting at Barclays Center, his single night ticket sales, his gate receipts and whatnot, they're on par with the biggest pop acts in the world. So that is what it is. And when someone who is ultra famous comes in and takes part in boxing, things outside of boxing on a day-to-day basis are more popular than boxing. That shouldn't be surprising to people, right? If you could take any number of celebrities and if they came in, the novelty of them fighting and the popularity that they have brought from outside of boxing, it is going to be, it's going to be big. But
especially when people want to see them get their asses kicked.
Yes.
When I did the thing on Game Theory with Jake Paul, it was amazing. The parents of the kids who grew up on Jake Paul hate him. My God.
Right, and you don't think he knows that, right? He made the correct calculus and has made an immense amount of money off of it. But boxing as a machine rolls along week after week, ticket sales, they're in arenas everywhere, all across the world. Like, listen, if boxing is dying, I don't know where my mortgage payments are coming from.
Right. It's just,
like,
yeah, it's not an easy talker. Like, it's kind of, in a lot of ways, to me, similar to baseball. I always say this: go look at the attendance numbers on baseball; they're still good. Go look on the viewership numbers of baseball; they're still good. But the only place really to talk about baseball is on a baseball podcast. It is on a baseball show. Like, it's no longer a general audience talker. I would also make the same argument about UFC. It's just that since UFC is not a sport, it is a federation. They can make I mean, obviously with the WME situation they got, right? But they could have a relationship with ESPN or have a relationship in these places that put the names out there. But for me personally, there's no MMA fight you can tell me is going to happen and you get me to watch. You tell me it's a big boxing match. I don't really ask that many questions about who's in it. You tell me it's a big boxing match, it sounds to me like something I need to know about.
exactly, yeah, because I think a big boxing match, even if you don't know who the participants are, like, I think that the energy, the presentation of a live boxing match, I think it could still, on a one-night basis, supersede anything. And I think what we're talking about generally is just like it's the erosion of monoculture in the world, where we can all find our what the algorithm is going to spit at us, these little silos that we can exist within. But to your point, there aren't too many things that can, even for one night, break out and be monoculture. Like, as weird as some of these kind of novelty events have been, like Jake and Mike, for example, there was something really cool about that night where every single one of the people in my life were talking to me about boxing. And like, I don't talk to everyone in my life about what I do for a living. I have a lot of people in my life. Most people don't watch any boxing, but that everyone and my parents were talking about Mike coming back. And like, there aren't other sports, even the Olympics. Not everyone in my life watched the figure skating, even as much of a stranglehold as like Alyssa Liu had on our lives. Even that wasn't able to seemingly break through in the way that a big boxing event can. So, to whatever degree you think boxing has taken its step back, it still has that ability to snatch the spotlight in a way that other things can't.
Yeah. Now, it reminds me of put a pin in it that I want to take the pin out that we hadn't got to earlier, which was Floyd and Mike Tyson are going to do this exhibition. Now, we know Mike needs the money. Mike is in a perpetual state of needing the money. We understand this. There's a part of me that it makes it tough when I see him out there in this just because of the understanding of that part. However, as we talked about earlier, Corey does a lot of work for a lot of people, so I ain't putting him in no bind. I'm going to avoid it if at all possible. But the idea that they're going to take this back to Kinshasa, and for those of you who don't quite understand the idea of a fight in Kinshasa, what was once Zaire, which is now Democratic Republic of the Congo, is where Ali Foreman Rumble in the Jungle was. And it was a big deal, the idea that fight was in Africa and everything else. And I just don't, why we got to do it with this one, man? Like why we, this is not Rumble in the Jungle Part 2. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is, it shouldn't be this.
I don't want to cast too much doubt here, but this is also an event without a date and without a location.
It's a notion.
You can come to your own conclusions.
I got you. Okay. That's a very important detail. Now, something else I wanted to ask about, and I asked this speaking generally because this was the thought that I had watching Anthony Joshua string out the fight against Jake Paul, or even to a degree watching Floyd Mayweather, who at any point could have put Conor McGregor to sleep, letting that go a while. And it was easy to understand. Floyd was trying to get people to show they paid for or whatever. But I have worried about the incentive structure of fights on streaming, where the variable that Netflix cares a lot about in its general business is time spent viewing, which then raises questions about the incentive structure for the fighters who are there, whether there is value in letting this fight go a little bit longer. That being said, I do realize and feel like that when it's an actual fight and not an exhibition, ain't nobody got time to be playing around, trying to get a little, try to go till you get to the time and a half part on the clock, right? But it is an interesting thing that comes with streamers in boxing. Is there is room for interesting things to happen because of that.
Yeah, and I think that some of this may be kind of like some of the wackiness that we've seen with sports gambling of late. You know, we're starting to become a little bit skeptical of like, are people trying to find ways to game these metrics to get rich off these little schemes and whatnot? I would say that even in a situation where a fighter thought that they could kind of string out a fight to boost viewership numbers or length of viewership, the way to do that is to add stuff in between fights. The production has got you on that. If we could have a 25-minute chat at the desk, and that will string those numbers out way longer than Anthony Joshua jabbing and moving around a little bit. So
that's a great point.
if someone wanted to doctor the numbers, there are far easier ways to do that than by moving a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but this is, and I would just say this as this is me making a statement on the world. An interesting variable, and I don't know if that's variable is the right word, but something that happens when we went from sales to streaming is that, take it from music, for example. I give you a CD, you give me $13. That CD is yours. There are a million reasons why you might have bought that CD. You might have bought that CD because you love the cover. You might have bought that CD because you have a set of everything else that other artists ever did. You may have bought that CD because you love one song. You might have bought that CD because you love every song on it. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. Once you bought it, it's yours to do whatever you want to do with it, right? With streaming, the only purpose of an album is to listen to it, right? And I understand that for a lot of people, they're like, duh, it's music. That's why I bought it. Yes and no. I can take you over to this collection of vinyl I got, and I can show you the things that I bought because I like the cover, right? Like I can show you the things for whatever reason. Like that is the reason why I have the thing. Streaming and pay-per-view was interesting because that's a sale, right? Like you have bought this fight. Maybe you bought it to watch it by yourself. Maybe you bought it to invite everybody over and to have a party or whatever it is. But in the end, you just bought it. Netflix is like, we are selling you whole Netflix, right? Like this is what do you got Netflix? Okay, we're just trying to keep you rolling over Netflix, and we just want you to watch this for as long as you possibly can. And so now they do have more of an incentive to make the production better. They do have more of an incentive to make it like an event, a reason for you to keep your Netflix.
No, that's exactly it. Yeah, and it's.
I'm sorry, right fast. I'll say this: the difference. Spotify, the record labels own Spotify, yeah, but there's always a million different joints over there, right? Netflix is selling you this fight. The platform is giving you this fight. They need this fight to be good.
Yeah, well, and the one thing that streaming can do that we didn't get from pay-per-view before is there's an immediacy of reporting of how popular the fight was, which is part of their branding and their sales, right? Like we all want to be a part of something big, and it could feel a little bit yucky sometimes, you know, when a company is selling you. You know, WWE does this a lot, right? You'll tune in, you'll watch WWE, and it'll say like, this is how many people were watching, this is how much money we made. Right. And it's supposed to make you feel good because you were a part of something big. Streaming now, because they could just tell you, this is how many people watched last night. Before, we kind of had to, there were like a handful of reporters that knew the people that could give you a sometimes accurate number. You didn't know who to trust. But you could say the same thing now too, right? It's just a single entity that's reporting how many people are watching.
Yeah.
Can someone check that? I don't know. Like that's added a new element to, I guess boxing reporting, sports reporting also is that that used to be kind of like, that was the thing, the crown jewel of reporting is like, did you get the pay-per-view numbers first? And that's kind of just been taken away from us.
This is me talking now, not Corey. Boy, it sure is interesting. Now Netflix wants you to have the metrics. Those of us who work in this business, is a notorious thing, the black box of Netflix. They're like, oh, no. Let me tell you how many people got out here in this fight. Hey, right. They get to do whatever they want. And that's me talking, not Corey talking.
That's
now,
correct.
Seamlessly switch topics because I have my Canadian buddy here. How's
despite
your
the
country
Mexican
doing?
hat. Yeah.
Oh, yes, you do have the Mexican hat. You just hold it down for all of North America, baby.
That's right.
But y'all doing okay up there, man? Like, I know this team Canada hockey thing. I was up there at Banff, and it was very clear. It was a very important weekend up there. Like I said, it was fun being in a place where the White Olympics are the Olympics. Like they are, like these are these ain't the other Olympics to them. These are the Olympics. But it seemed like y'all was a little bit salty up there about the outcome of the match. And then meanwhile, they real happy down here, brother. Real happy.
That's right. Yeah. You know how Canada is coping with it. Like we're saying like, well, we would have won that game 95 times out of 100. It was clear who the better team on the ice was. That's how the country is coping with it. Also, they have found their enemy, particularly here in Toronto, because of course the captain of the Maple Leafs, Austin Matthews.
Oh, he's American.
He went on the visit to the White House, and he was the captain of the team.
Oh, even the Mexican dude. For those who don't know, hockey has come so far that one of the best players in the league is a Mexican dude from Phoenix named Austin.
That's right.
It's a lot. It's a lot going on with that. So what is so interesting about that is, you know, you guys, that Trump thing, man, you guys still seem a little salty with that, and understandably so, right? Like the whole tariff situation and everything else. And Canada kind of like, yo, we've been good to y'all. We've been a great neighbor. I don't understand, like, why you treating us like this. It's all there. It all makes sense. Now, of course, I get the feeling the Canadian hockey team is also full of a bunch of Trumpers also. But you don't have to think about your own team, right? You just got to look at they're hanging, like your arch nemesis is hanging out with your enemy at the State of the Union. And y'all are all just whooping it up, boy. Canada, tough week for Canada, man.
It's a good point you just made, by the way, about like the goalie of the Canadian team, Jordan Binnington. He might not be upset if Canada became the 51st state. I'm just going to say. So there are some people on that team that probably are like feeling that like geopolitical tug, but I think there are others that are just really upset that they lost a hockey game, but the rest of the country does not feel that way.
Corey, it's so many people down here. Like I mentioned this, we sent a clip out on the internet that I'm sure the internet didn't like because they were thinking about it in ways that I was not, because I don't really be paying too much attention to a lot of this stuff, at least not in the ways that I used to. But I said America's relationship with Team USA hockey is the healthiest relationship it has in sports. If they win, everybody's happy. As long as they don't tear up the hotel when they lose, nobody's really tripping, right? But you know, then by then I did Cash Patel had already been in the locker room, and I'm that guy. Anyway, but we already had that. We had the Trump thing go up, but Team USA became a divisive group, right? And they go to the State of the Union, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I just don't feel like anything I would ever want to go to anyway, right? Like it's not like there's a lot of things that Trump might invite me to where it's like, damn, I guess I gotta go. The State of the Union? Why would I want to go do that?
It was like 3.5 hours long, wasn't it? Yeah. You gotta stand there the whole time?
No, it's just like I've never once watched the State of the Union and been like, damn, wouldn't it be cool to be there?
Also,
like,
when the catering's McDonald's. It's not even like you get to hang out in the green room and be like, well, it was a long time, but like to check out the spread.
Yeah, and let me tell you what else is in that room for Team USA hockey, and I could be wrong. That is a room full of people they've never heard of. Like, I don't feel like there's anybody in that room other than Trump that they're like, yo, I can't wait to meet him. Like, somebody's introducing them to J.D. Vance, and they're like, cool, so what do you do? Where do you work? Oh, okay. I knew that. I voted for you.
Listen, it's you got to remember too, like our prime minister, like Mark Carney, played hockey at Harvard, like still plays hockey. Like that's how much Canada cares about hockey, right? This is to your point. Like this is our Olympics. We also have the fastest man in the world. That gets shoved aside. Like, did we win gold in curling? Did we win hockey? That's all that matters.
So I actually am curious about this, and I feel like I sound so ignorant, but I never asked this when we worked together, which is like everybody loves curling during the Olympics. I'm assuming that y'all ain't watching curling in off years. I don't imagine, but
I'm not, but some people are. Curling is still on national TV a lot.
So like, are the best curlers like famous?
Some of them are kind of famous, like a little bit. Like they have sponsorship deals. Like there's like curling has, much like boxing, like it has its fan base that is definitely not going to go away. Yeah. And it's also one of those sports where once you pass a certain age, when you get into adulthood and like you just want to kind of find community, but you don't want to tear an ACL, you can curl. And so people get into curling a little bit later in life in the way that they would with golf.
Yeah. So I want to throw something at you. Ryan just ran this by me, and I hadn't really thought about it, but this is an interesting discussion, right? How many MVPs has that boy Connor McDavid won in the NHL? Is it like 3 of them at this point?
I think so. Yeah.
Right. He's the best player in the NHL. I feel like we agree on
It's
that.
like 1 or 2. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Hockey is very similar to basketball in the sense that even though it's all these waves of players, it is very much so a best player wins sort of sport. Like there are not too many great hockey players who have not won a Stanley Cup. I think that's fair to say. Like, I think if you were to ask somebody, like, who's the best? Like, we have like the Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, type of discussion there. In hockey, I don't even know who you pull up as being that person, except the answer is obvious now. It's Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Ryan raises the question: is he Josh Allen for the NHL? Like, I don't know if that means that everybody's just rooting for him and makes excuses when he doesn't.
No, I listen, I think that is an excellent comparison. And also, Josh Allen is also Canada's quarterback for the most part too, right?
Oh, that's right.
So Canada has Josh Allen and Connor McDavid. Yeah, people feel terrible for him, right? Like, and I think that it hasn't turned into the discourse that I've seen around McDavid hasn't quite turned the corner around like, oh, he's a choke artist or something like that. It's more people feel bad for him. It's sympathy because he keeps getting to Stanley Cup, Olympic final, and then not winning. But he's also been the best player on the planet for a long time. And probably he's the best hockey player that we've ever seen with our 2 eyes. Like the skill level of hockey, much like it is in basketball now, is off the charts. He is the best. Him and Nathan McKinnon are the best hockey players we've ever seen in our lives. And he hasn't won the championship yet. And with every passing year, that window starts to close.
So how much different would this be if he did not play for Edmonton, but instead he played for the Maple Leafs? And for those who don't follow hockey that closely, the Maple Leafs are the Knicks.
Yes,
right?
Yes, they are the Knicks.
They are in the city that is seen as like the epicenter of the game. It's the biggest hockey town. Like, it's the biggest hockey town in the world. There's no way around this. Basketball, New York is the biggest basketball city. And 1968?
60, yeah, wait, what was the last? I think it's 68. Did you get that right?
I think it's like 68. It might be 64, but I think it's 60 round number.
67. No, yeah, we're right there. We're right there.
67. Yeah. That's how long it's been since they've won one, and they find incredible ways to lose it.
Yes, they do. So your question is, would it be different if you played on the Leafs? Yes, because Austin Matthews is feeling that right now. He has been, a top 3, somewhere between top 3 to top 5 NHL player for a while. Hasn't made it to the Stanley Cup. Obviously, hasn't won a Stanley Cup. And yeah, you get the heat that you do for being the excellent player that could score 60 goals in the regular season and then not win in the finals. McDavid would be feeling that heat if he played in Toronto because he plays in Edmonton, where they are also very hockey rabid. You were just in Alberta. You felt it there.
Yes.
But they're also a heck of a lot more forgiving.
Well, they've also won like 5 of them.
That's the other
since
thing.
the last time.
Exactly. They had their dynasties. They're like, we're cool still.
Dynasty powered by cocaine.
Allegedly.
Is it even a legend?
And then they blamed it on the goalie.
That's what I'm saying. Blame it on who?
But remember, they blamed it on Grant Fuhrer.
Yes. What kind of goalie? What kind of goalie did they blame it on?
They blamed it on the black goalie.
Allegedly. The one black dude in
allegedly.
The league. Yeah, allegedly blamed it on the one black dude in the league. Like, I'm trying to think of if there was because there was the Pittsburgh cocaine thing in baseball, but you didn't have a situation where it's like, hey, the Chicago Bulls won 6 championships in 8 years. Oh, and cocaine.
Although, like, in that time period, like, are we naive enough to think that this wasn't a thing?
That was the thing. It was the 80s, and oil was booming, and it's in Edmonton, whose team is called the Oilers, just so you understand what Edmonton is talking about.
Wow.
They got the Oilers, and they got the town with the big old rodeo.
That's right. And to bring it all the way back around, all of your favorite boxers from the 80s who did all those great things.
Yes. Yes, all of them had the problem.
Some of whom I'm friends with and would openly tell you that there was a lot of cocaine in that era.
Yo, man, we're in this new wild time now where like it's become okay for people to talk about using cocaine, and I'm like, yo, when did that happen? That's bananas.
Yeah, it's. I think two things are happening. Number one, it's just okay to talk about using cocaine. Number two, I think you're just expected to go on podcasts and say crazy stuff because then it'll just make you more money. And one of the craziest things you can talk about is how much cocaine you did in the 1980s.
It is, and now, like I say, the new thing. Did you watch that? It wasn't Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, but the Eddie Murphy. It was Eddie Murphy, Jonah Hill, Laura London, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Like they did the whole like interracial dating thing, and that movie at the end got Eddie Murphy going with the white boys on the bachelor party, and they started using cocaine in front of him, and somehow Eddie Murphy was wrong for thinking that was crazy. They're like, yeah, they were just having a good time. I'm like, yo, when did this happen?
It's never been my drug of choice. I can say
not
that,
the way to go. But it's also, look, NHL is always so funny. Now everybody's kind of like this. But, you know, there's always been the obvious discussion about the inverse relationship between punishment for drugs and the level of whiteness of your sport, right? The more whiteness, the less drug enforcement. But my favorite was where the NHL's drug policy was if you tested positive, they just called you to see if you was okay.
Yeah, are you doing all right? Well, apparently now, so like the big thing, like in hockey used to have a big drinking culture, right? Like same with baseball. It would be like you get into the locker room and people would just be like hockey and beer were synonymous, still are. But there was a story that came out last year that apparently that's all changed. And now most of the NHL players, their thing is they get off the ice and they are right into the edibles.
Interesting.
So that's apparently the new hockey thing.
Hey, man, speaking of new and hockey things, have you watched this Heated Rivalry show?
So I have not watched it yet, but I'm fully in support of Heated Rivalry. Go watch it. I
haven't watched it. I've only heard of it. And for those of you who don't know, it's about hockey players that be having sex with each other.
That's right.
And as the friends of mine who watched it explained to me, it is very clearly a show that's like geared toward women. Like they went into these very detailed explanations of the physical characteristics of the guys playing. And they're like, no. This is for women to watch. But I have wondered, like in hockey world, how this like goes over. Because on one hand, I'm sure it's the guys that's like, oh, come on, this isn't how we are. And then the others that's like, I mean, it's not how we are.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much exactly what the reaction. It's either people who are like, this is great, or some people will be like, I'm never going to watch that. And obviously they're just going to be, hateful people. Whatever. The funniest thing is that like that is a series of books. So that the author that wrote that, Rachel Reed, and shout out to Rachel Reed, she's going through some health troubles right now, but she just writes gay hockey erotica, one after another. And it was clear that this Heated Rivalry, it's obvious that the protagonists are supposed to be Crosby and Ovechkin. It's just fanfic about Crosby and Ovechkin.
One of those Russian?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
But listen, shout out to Canadian television, which you and I used to make some money off of. I was about to say a lot of money. That would be untrue. But, for $4 million or whatever the budget of that show was, it wasn't a whole lot. They made a worldwide hit. So shout out to Canadian television and to the author, Rachel Reed.
Let me tell you, shows like that are a very interesting test of one's progressiveness, right? Like I admit that I have theoretical beliefs that are challenged when you ask me to watch it. Right? Like we're not talking, and I'm not talking about just watching some cats hold hands or like see them be in love or even kiss. Like, did you ever watch P-Valley?
I didn't watch P-Valley, no.
Okay, so P-Valley is a show about a strip club in like somewhere between Memphis, northern Mississippi, Memphis, that area. And a significant storyline is I don't even know how to describe the person that runs the club, right? But someone who, when it was born, was definitely said was a man, but who definitely does not dress or comport themselves as one. I don't remember the specific classification, but he winds up in a love affair with a closeted gangster rapper. And that show has sex scenes with men And I simply cannot tell if those are the longest sex scenes in the history of sex scenes, or it just feels that way.
I see what you're saying.
I can't tell. But it's like, yo, I feel like we've been here for 15 minutes.
I understand. Listen,
Yeah, like it's a test.
It's a test.
And look, if you're not, I don't think that there's necessarily a shame in not feeling comfortable with something, honestly, you've never seen before, right? Like it's a whole new thing. I get it. But I also fully recognize that I have a rhetoric that I offer that is immediately challenged by me being like, that dude is on his knees with a condom in his mouth. And I don't understand why we need to see that. We understand what's going on here. I get the hint. Like, it's like, oh, whoa, is that me? Is that me?
But you see, Bo, this is all a part of the streaming conspiracy to keep your the length of your viewing up.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, that strategy, it could be intended to keep it going, or that could have unfortunate consequences for their bottom line,
That's
depending
right.
on who the person is.
That's
Where
right.
it's like, okay, the one thing streaming lets you do is streaming lets you hit fast forward and see like exactly how far this thing is gone.
Yeah. What was the TiVo sound you used to make when you fast forward? Boop boop. You know,
that's right.
You could
That's
go forward.
right.
Yeah.
No, I did not realize that they were making it like Crosby Ovechkin. Does anybody ask Ovechkin about it?
I most certainly not. I don't think so.
My favorite quote of all time in this broad realm was when Dennis Rodman was with the Spurs. You may remember there was a Sports Illustrated cover story of him. I think Mike Silver wrote it, and it was a really big deal. And one of the things that he talked about in this article that came out during the playoffs is his belief that all men had fantasies, sexual fantasies about other men. And they asked Akeem Olajuwon about this. Now, this was Olajuwon after Akeem with an H, right?
Right.
This is after he'd chilled out a little bit in life, I suppose. But who's to say? It could have been anything else. Anyway, they came and asked Akeem about it. And Akeem was like, sometimes you think something and you think because you think that, then everybody thinks the same thing. He is wrong.
And so this was pre-H Olajuwon, right?
No, this is post-H.
This is post-H. Okay.
I am terrified.
So this
to
is
consider what pre-H.
Was pre-H the one that fought Mad Max in the locker room, or was that
I
was
think
H?
that was but it's possible. Pre-H is the one that was just punching people in the face.
That's what I'm saying.
In games. Yeah. My brother has a friend who played high-level college basketball. Like, he was a starter on a SEC team. And he said he used to go to a lot of games, Rockets games, for whatever reason, he was able to get tickets. He'd be sitting down close, and Olajuwon, referee make a call. Olajuwon didn't like, this is Aki with an A, right? And Olajuwon stopped, point at the ref, and go, "Suck my dick!" And they like, what? So, to give you the proper contrast, Olajuwon with an H, I talked to somebody who worked for the Rockets during that time, and when the refs would make a call that Olajuwon did not like, this is what would get him the tech. God will judge you for that. Guys like, what did you just say to me? God will judge you. What?
What's the worst punishment? Eternal damnation or non-consensual sex? I don't know.
Put it on the scale. Right. Last question for Corey Erdman. I haven't asked anybody this in a while, but I feel like we're on such a roll that you can give a good answer for this. And if you don't have one off the top of your head, it's fine. What would be the funniest name that could turn up in the Epstein files?
Oh, man. The funniest name that could turn up in the Epstein files. That's a good question. Do you have
I have a new answer for this that I think you might agree with.
Okay.
What if Don King turned up in the Epstein files? I mean, these are people of Don King's political persuasion.
Would this be the time that Don King lost a court case, if that were the case? It hasn't happened yet.
I can imagine, though, Don King's reaction being like, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Don King's like 100 years old. He's got Adrian Broner under a contract right now. He's still opening the briefcase and locking guys in. He's still doing it.
Don King walks into one of them parties, and what is alleged to have gone down is going down. Don King is walking right the fuck out.
See you later. Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, here's another one that could have been funny, though I guess the time period doesn't match. Imagine if James Brown walked into one of these parties. Hey, wait a minute now. What y'all over there doing? Oh, no. Hey, Mr. Trump. No, sir, can't do that. Everybody gonna go to jail for this. Ain't sending James Brown up.
Man, Don, I love that Don just can't quit. He will never give this up.
Don, remember we did that interview with Don?
Yes.
That was so much fun.
Yes. You were going to tell me about your Manny Pacquiao interview.
Okay, so last thing.
Here we
go. So we got Manny Pacquiao on HQ. And I had done my pre-show ritual before we got on. Perhaps a little more fervently than maybe I should have. But anyway, so we there, and he's a tough interview, man, right? His English isn't very great. He's a very soft-spoken man. And somewhere at some point in the interview, it comes up that he got a new single coming out. And we're having this struggling interview. So Dan gets the bright idea, even though this is like dangerous because of like the way it works with publishing and stuff like that. If somebody sings a song, you got to pay for it. And so Dan encourages Pacquiao to sing his new single. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen Manny Pacquiao on Jimmy Kimmel singing, but it's a whole bit, okay? But I've never known if Manny knows that it's a bit because he is very serious when he does the singing. So Dan has asked Manny Pacquiao to sing this song. And I'm looking at him like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Manny Pacquiao started singing that song, and I reacted the same way that I did whenever he was singing the song on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And uproarious laughter begins to build right here below my sternum. But I'm like, oh man, can't do that. Can't do that. And so I start like closing my eyes, right? And laughter keeps brimming up, right? it was very similar to the time that I was in a wedding and somebody started singing very badly, but I was the best man. I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do, right? So it keeps going, and now I'm like, I got like my jaw, like the smile is coming. I'm stretching out as far as I can. I'm closing my eyes. I'm throwing my hands up. I'm trying to bob my head, and I start like sniffling and laughing. And Dan, old Mr. Chaos, right? Dan loving when some shit go off the rails. Not now. Dan reaching across and punching me, and I'm like, all right, I'm cool. Like I snapped back. I got back to where I needed to be, and we got through it. And I apologized to him. But I should not have apologized to Dan. This is your goddamn fault. You're the one that put me in this horrible, uncomfortable position. But I'm like, why are you mad? Of all the times, now it's my fault.
Well, also, like, how are you supposed to react? Like, even if someone were a great singer, how are you supposed to react in a satellite interview when someone is just singing a cappella? Am I supposed to, like, how am I supposed to react? Yeah, get the lighter out.
Yeah, like, what am I supposed to do?
What do you want me to do?
I was dying. And I'm like, I don't want to laugh in this man's face, but obviously because he got, manos de piedras, no one has been able to, like, be real with him.
Yeah.
No one's ever be real with him about his basketball. Nobody's able to be real with him about his singing. He was a senator at some point. Like, clearly, no one's been able to tell Manny Pacquiao no in like 35 years.
And they still can't tell him that he can't box anymore.
Hey, Floyd Mayweather-Manny Pacquiao coming in September. We'll have you back to talk about it then. That is Corey Erdman. Check him out, Netflix, The Zone. Basically, if it's boxing, Corey is there. My brother, I appreciate you.
Love you, Bo. See you soon.
I love you too, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 4 times a week. Ryan Brumley handles everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Hit the voicemail line, 323-596-7767. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.